Yesterday, the England squad was announced for the February internationals, where the Lionesses take on Portugal and Spain. In this video, we look through the squad and discuss whether certain players deserve to be included, who is missing from the squad, and why it's great to see Nikita Parris back on international duty. These are our thoughts on the latest Lionesses squad. Alright, let's get into it then. The England squad for the February internationals is out. Today we're going to be talking about the squad, we're going to be talking about who perhaps has been omitted from it, who should be in it, who isn't. We're going to talk about all those sorts of things. So we'll talk about who's in the squad, why they should be there, and then talk about perhaps who's missing a bit. Yeah, sounds good. All right, let's start with the goalkeepers then. 3 goalkeepers for these internationals. You've got Mary Earps, Hannah Hampton, and Anna Morehouse. Now, the obvious omission here is Kiara Keating.
Shock.
But I think, given this season, the last international breaks with Sin Morehouse come in anyway, so I don't think that's much of a surprise.
No, absolutely not. Kiara Keating has quite possibly had one of the worst first halves to a season that I think a goalkeeper could have. Whether that is, when she has played, it's been errors, and then the other times that she hasn't played, which is her other problem, is that she hasn't consistently started. So for Keating, she's had no chance of getting into this squad, really. As you say, Hampton and Earp seem to be fighting out for that number 1 spot, both doing well for their clubs, and then Anna Morehouse, who's a very capable third choice. Again, I'd be surprised if she was involved, but for her to be with the squad, with the team, and you never know, maybe she will get a start at some point. It's just good for her. It's a good experience, and it makes sense.
Yeah, so it does feel like that goalkeeping set is set as it is, unless, of course, Kiara Keating does have a stellar second half of the campaign and force her way into contention. But if it is to be, it's expected to be those 3. The bigger question then comes, who starts at Euro 2025? Will it be Mary Earps or will it be Hannah Hampton? If you had to call that now, which way do you think it should go? Which way do you think Wiegman will go?
That's a very, very tough question. I think that the main thing that will have to be is pick one. What we've seen, and we haven't seen too much on the national stage, but especially domestically, in the leagues and in domestic football, we've seen lots of clubs operate with 2 starting goalkeepers. Doesn't work for me. I'd expect, I know the Euros is a lot shorter, so it's more common to play 1 goalkeeper, but whatever happens, I don't think Sarina would do this, but just to put it out there, do not rotate both goalkeepers throughout the tournament. That is a terrible idea. I think overall game, I'd favour Hampton. I think Ertz is probably a better shot stopper, but I think overall I'd favour Hampton in terms of her all-round ability.
So the problem for Hannah is that her distribution this season has been really poor at times, and so I think that will be a point of concern. But I think Wiegman does tend to prefer, there's more persuasion in Wiegman's thinking over how he performed for England, and when she has been called up for England, she's always played well. So
she has.
For me, I reckon Hannah Hampton will be the starting goalkeeper for the tournament, but we'll have to see. She's played more of the friendlies. We'll get a good gauge over this international break. I imagine that one will play one game, one will play the other, but if one goalkeeper was to play both matches, that would be a huge sway in determining which way that's going to go. Obviously, we've got the warm-up friendlies, we've still got another set of internationals, in March, May, something like that. Yeah. At some point in the end of the season. And then obviously we've got the warm-up friendlies before the tournament. So there's time still to determine who's going to start. But I think if it was to be called right now, I think Hannah Hampton would be the favourite.
Yeah, I especially think that, as you say, over these coming months, we're back into competitive games. Obviously, the last international break was just friendlies, but we're back with the Nations League against 2 very, very good sides in Portugal and Spain. So they are big games, and they are big opportunities for people to prove themselves. The other point, just going back to Kiara Keating, is that for people who say, well, she still could be the third choice goalkeeper in that England squad, it makes more sense for England for her to be the number 1 in the under-21 squad rather than be the third choice in the senior squad. For me, that's probably the other reason why Keating is not in the team.
And that is something to remember. She is only 21, so it's not over for Kiara Keating in terms of her international career. Far from it, in fact. So I don't think it's a huge concern that she's not in the squad for now. And let's talk defenders then. Now, the first thing I'll say on defenders is that there are a lot of them. Does this point towards England using a 3-back again? We saw it in the USA game and the Germany game. We've seen the use of wing-backs this season. It's not the Germany game, but it wasn't the USA game, sorry. So we've seen different formations. Do you think, based on the fact that there are so many defenders, that this will be a 3-back or well, obviously we'll have to wait till Friday, but does it look that way?
I think it does, yeah. I just think that when you compare the number of defenders to the midfielders and the attackers, it is definitely much larger, as you say. Obviously, that is impacted a little bit by injuries in other areas. I wouldn't expect to see so many defenders when we get to the tournament, the Euros. But right now, I still think we would see more defenders than the other positions. So yeah, I do think that it does lead itself to a 3-back. It gives you a lot more options, and as playing a 3-back, you kind of need players that can play a multitude of positions rather than just a handful.
Yeah, I get what you're saying, but if we are going to play a 5-back, or well, a 3-back, obviously, then with wing backs, you consider that there will be a lot of defenders there. Because you've got to have cover in all of those positions. And let's talk through the list, though. You've got Millie Bright of Chelsea, Lucy Bronze of Chelsea, Neve Charles of Chelsea, Jess Carter, formerly of Chelsea. You've got Maya Le Tissier, Esme Morgan, Millie Turner, Leah Williamson, and Lotte Moy. So, yeah, I expect this could well look like a 3-back, but you've got such strength now. How does that back 3 look? Is there anyone that's missed out on this squad, do you think?
I think it's a very interesting one. It's incredible that apart from Jess Carter, it makes sense to be fair that apart from Jess Carter, the 3 teams that are there are Chelsea, Man United, and Arsenal, the 3 best defences definitely in the WSL, and if not, you start branching out. They're up there in Europe with those 3 backlines domestically. So really good for England to have such quality. But as you say, I think it's very difficult to pick a back 3 out of all those centre half. I think for me, I'd expect to see Bright, Williamson, and Le Tissier as your back 3. And I think the centre half decision.
Obviously, with Greenwood being out adds to the that's the thing. It adds to the conversation because there is such quality now in that centre half department. I think it's why England are pushing towards using a back 3 because you've got great strength in wing back with Neve Charles and Lucy Bronze, 2 players who are great going forwards but do have some defensive liabilities. And then of the back 3, you can list any of Maya Le Tissier, Millie Bright, Alex Greenwood, Leah Williamson. I mean, even I throw in that conversation Lotte Moy. They're all in that same bracket. Millie Turner's not a bad defender either. So you've got a lot of options there. So I think that's why we'll probably be deploying a 3-back. In terms of Esme Morgan and Jess Carter, then we were speaking a little bit beforehand. Not 100% on those decisions.
No, I'm not. I feel, as you say, I think. But just in terms of the averages and stuff, Greenwood being injured means that obviously one of them was probably going to have to come in anyway. I feel for Gabby George missing out as that left wing back, and I know that she's more defensive, but she's more offensive than the likes of Jess Carter. Jess Carter can play anywhere across the back 3, but when you've considered that I don't think she can play wing back at all, then suddenly she's only a centre half option. And I think that for Jess Carter, once Alex Greenwood's back from injury, I can expect that being a straight swap and Carter being out the side, because if England if they play fullbacks, then Carter may have a role to play, but with the most recent performances in England's shirt, mixed with the fact that she couldn't cover at wing back, I would be surprised to see her in this England squad.
Yeah, I think there's a couple of reasons she may stay. She's a very versatile player if it is a back 4, as you say. I also think she's very good in a back 3. Now, while she may not be one of those big names, she's very good in a back 3. She does have a lot of experience, a lot of leadership to offer in that regard. So I wouldn't be surprised if she did come in the squad. I think you'd be more likely to see Esme Morgan drop out. My question comes in who plays the wing backs if Bronze and Charles aren't fit.
Exactly.
Because I don't see anyone in this defensive setup where there are many players. I don't see anyone else that can play wing back.
Yeah, which favour itself to being to a full 4-back, but if it is a 4-back, then suddenly the big question is, why are we taking so many defenders? Because you can only play 4 of them, and we've taken 9.
Yeah, 9 defenders. So and you've got 2 out of the 9 who can play wing backs. Other than that, I don't really look at any of them who would be a comfortable fit there. Now, obviously, players could do a job there. We've seen Beth Mead do a job there. But it does open up the question, should someone like, I don't know, Taylor Hines be in the conversation?
Place Jamaica now.
Of course, yes. But just to put the thought out there, should there be a conversation about who comes to this tournament?
George is the big one for me because I think that she can go both ways, and I think her defensive solidity is stronger than her attacking numbers, but overall, we've seen for United that she can do a really, really good job. So I feel for her. As for right wing back, well, yes, options are limited, but I do think that England...
The options are pray Lucy Bronze.
Yes, basically, which is also another worry.
We've seen Le Tissier used out there, which I don't like, but she's such a versatile and quality player. She can play anywhere. The problem was we saw Le Tissier play there, and she kept getting into really good attacking positions, but she's not a wing back.
Yeah, she can't cross the ball.
It's so frustrating. I mean, she's a brilliant passer, brilliant footballer, but she's not a wing back. She's not running in behind. yes, she can deliver a ball, but can she cross one while bombing up the line? It's a different skill to
different.
being able to play those nice long balls. So I think, yes, a good player, a very, very good player, but not a wing-back. And that is a problem for England if we are going to deploy wing-backs. And there's only 2 players who are comfortable in those roles.
Yeah.
So I think that is going to be up for debate. But we'll see. We'll see what happens there. Let's get to midfielders then, because there's not much controversy with defenders. Not too much in midfielders either. Obviously, Georgia Stanway out through injury. So Laura Blinkilder-Brown retains her spot. Grace Clinton, Ruby Mays, Jess Park, Ella Toone and Kira Walsh. I think it's a fairly obvious one with the midfield.
Yeah.
That's going to be the midfield for the tournament. If Stanway is back, she'll replace Blinkilder-Brown. If not,
would you expect it or Mace? Would you expect Mace over Blinkilder-Brown?
Yeah, Mace is more comfortable playing that deeper role. That's got to be the consideration. I think if we are looking at the problem is if this is going to be a midfield 2, you've got a lot of quality to fit in 2 positions. Because if it is a midfield 2, Grace Clinton isn't going to be playing in the pivot.
No.
You'd have to assume it's going to be Kira Walsh.
Yeah.
And then I guess Clinton could play that deeper role or Ruby Mace.
Yeah.
But then you've got Ella Toone, who you've got to try and fit in amongst the wide options where she's not as strong. And again, this is another reason perhaps against the 3-back, is that strength in midfield. Because, Jess Park as well, another one who would likely not be involved if we are playing a midfield 2. So it is difficult. I think it's a nice options in midfield, but it does show that without Georgia Stanway, we are slightly weaker in that midfield. I think if we were going to the tournament with this midfield, I'd have some concerns.
Yeah, I do think that for England, it's a very attacking midfield. The predominant, the majority of England's midfielders are more offensive. They want to play further forward. I think it's very exciting. I think to see Ella Toone. It's the first time Ella Toone will put on an England shirt in form since the start of this season. So that's very exciting to see. And hopefully she can come in and have 2 really good games. But overall, I do think it's interesting. I have no complaints with it. I think the selection is spot on with Stanway being out injured. Good, as you say, Mace has looked really, really tidy. It'd be nice to see her play defensive midfield rather than up front like we have seen her for Leicester a little bit this season. Unless that's England's new tactic, but I would be very surprised. But overall, I really like the midfield. I think once Stanway's back, it will look pretty much perfect.
But on the flip side, it does feel like we're a Kira Walsh injury away from that looking like the most porous midfield at the tournament.
We are.
And that is a slight worry, that there isn't any other options to play that deeper role. You've got Mace, you've got Stanway, and you've got Walsh. Stanway's out. We're down to 2 at the moment, Mace and Walsh. If one of those is to get injured, suddenly that midfield looks a lot weaker. Now, I know Clinton can play that deeper role, possibly, but it's not a perfect fit. So I do have a few questions there, but we have got loads of good attacking midfielders, so maybe just play 10 of those and
score loads of
get away with it. Let's talk forward players then, and again there are some questions here, but we've got Aggie Beaver-Jones, Lauren James, Beth Mead, Jessica Naz, Nikita Parris.
Keats is back.
Wow.
It's
taken ages, but it's finally Wiegman's listened, and Alessia Russo coming into the side as well. Let's talk about Nikita Parris then. Brilliant to see her return. She's been excellent for Brighton this season. Thoroughly deserved.
Yeah, first time back in the England squad since 2022, I believe. So great to see her back.
Since the Euros that we won.
Yeah, it's been incredible. It's been a surprise. She looked pretty tidy for Man United. Went and joined Brighton this year with a plan, not only to go and thrive in a starting role, but to prove to Sarina Wiegman that she deserved to get in the England squad. And after a brilliant first half of the campaign, finally Nikita Parris, we will see her back in an England shirt.
Yeah, it does feel like Wiegman's waiting until her form has tailed off a little bit.
Well, she's
she was so good. And don't get me wrong, she's still playing well this year in 2025, but she was so good in those opening few months. Didn't get called up, has tailed off a little bit, gets called up. Bit of an odd one.
It is an odd one.
I think it's good to see her involved in the squad.
But to be fair, she's already scored against Liverpool this year. Got a double against Aston Villa in the FA Cup. It's really, really good. It's the consistency that I think has got her this spot. Because, as you say, it was a really good period where she started banging in goals. Wiegman didn't select her then, but now she's proven that consistency for over half a season now. Well, for Wiegman, I don't think she had a choice. She had Parris was probably the first name in the squad.
Yeah, it is shocking. Nikita Parris is a good player.
Wow.
Who saw this one coming? In terms of the other options then, now, I definitely think our choices up front point towards players like Clinton playing wider roles, Park playing wider roles, potentially Toone as well, because there aren't many wingers here. And of the wingers we do have, I think LJ's better centrally.
Yeah.
But obviously there is a lot of competition for that spot at the moment. You've got Beth Mead, who obviously is an out-and-out winger. You've got Aggie Beaver-Jones, who I think is used more of a striker in this system. And then we've got Jess Naz.
Lucky.
I think it is... She's fortunate that there isn't more competition. I think that Wiegman really likes having a player who is pacey and can come on and torment defences at the end of games. But I think there are some questions over Naz's quality. I don't think she's played particularly well for Tottenham this season. So I do think there are some questions there.
Yeah, I think that Naz she's benefiting off what I'd say the likes of Chloe Kelly did in the earlier internationals we've had so far this season, where the fact they've been in the squad before, the fact they've got an England cap, kind of earns them place. And obviously we've seen now that with Kelly, she's not in the squad, but I mean, what a motivator that will be for Chloe Kelly to hit the ground running at Arsenal. But that is something Naz has to think about going ahead to Euros, is that if she doesn't pick up her performances, with Paris coming back, with the likes of Stanway's going to need a place, Greenwood's going to need a place, and this is just overall the squad that you have to cut people all over the place when you get to Euros. And if Chloe Kelly finds her form, I think Naz could be in a bit of trouble if she doesn't start to put up some really good numbers herself.
Yeah, again, though, I think it's an issue of who else would come into the side. Now, there are striker options. You could talk about Beth England. Obviously, she's been really good for Tottenham. She's been the sole reason Tottenham aren't getting relegated. But, if we are looking at only going into with two strikers of Russo and Beaver-Jones, maybe there isn't a spot for England. But I think with the quality in wide areas, Naz is expendable.
Yeah.
To say the least. So I don't really get the inclusion of her. I don't think she's played particularly well this year. I think England would be a better fit, but alas.
Yeah, I mean, England as a team aren't gonna rival the likes of France, who have about 72 world-class strikers right now. But
they all play for Lyon.
all at Lyon. But I would expect to potentially. I'd like to think we're going to a tournament with more than two strikers. That is very risky. You want to give yourself options. And Naz, I agree. I don't want to be negative towards her too much. I think on her day she's a good player.
I think there's a lot of quality there.
There is
not shown it
exactly.
This season.
I mean, her pace has just vanished. The ability to beat a player with pure just blasting past them and running
it's
the
that
ball.
Burst, isn't it? That acceleration. It's not been there this season.
And it's a shame for her. But the fact she's in the England squad still shows that Wiegman has trust in her, and that Naz does have. If she comes into the national break, gets subbed on against Portugal and scores a goal, then that's a really good step for her. And I think she's got to use this international break. And to be fair to her, she has played in a Tottenham side who have been, apart from Beth England, have been a shambles this season. So to be she's not playing with the likes of BJ and Clinton, who would have she would have benefited from last season. Maybe back in an England shirt, she could put together some better performances over this international break.
Yeah. All right. And let's talk about some players that weren't involved then. Now, obviously, the big one, and the one that we've put on the thumbnail, and the one that everybody is talking about, is Chloe Kelly. Now, obviously, her reputation deserves that media coverage, but it is a very logical decision to not include Kelly in this squad, right?
Yeah, I would be surprised if there wasn't a discussion between Wiegman and Kelly, because for Kelly, she's coming into a fresh start for Arsenal. She hasn't played yet for Arsenal. So I don't think for Kelly that it would make sense to go and put on to play another 2 games in an England shirt in an environment where she hasn't thrived this season, similar to Manchester City where she didn't thrive. I think for her, take these 2 weeks off, stay with Arsenal, get with the squad,
get to know Slagers.
Get in training.
Have a cup of coffee with her.
Go for a coffee morning and a run, and have just get into that squad atmosphere at Arsenal. And this is 2 weeks for her to really.
There are more Arsenal players in the England squad than there are
at
Arsenal right now.
She can hang there with the youth player. No, because they'll also be on youth international. It would be her and Slagers. So just those two. Private training session. But I do think it's important that Kelly has 2 weeks now. There's a reason she hasn't played for Arsenal yet, and that's because she's not ready. Because she isn't match fit.
And also because she's been cup died.
That is also the
can play against
Man City. But now they've stopped playing Man City, and she can have a couple of weeks just to get back to full fitness, match sharp, and hopefully we'll see her in a couple of weeks in an Arsenal shirt scoring goals for fun. But I think for Kelly and for England, it makes sense not for her to not be in this squad.
Yeah, I've got very little to add to that. Wiegman did speak about it, talking about how she was included in the autumn internationals because at that point, the autumn internationals, she was included in those because at that point she'd played enough football. She was still a fantastic player. She was included, but she spoke about how she's just not played enough over the winter period now to justify being called up, which I think is totally fair. I think you look at Kelly for this season; she hasn't played at all for Manchester City. It's then fair to not have her in the England squad. I don't think it's a huge loss, regardless. There's a lot of people that disagree with me on that, and you're welcome to. But I think that looking at the pool of talent in this England side, is she better than Jess Nass? Probably. But after that, I think the wide options we've got are all better than Kelly right now. And no, I think we're a little weak there. But Mead is a very strong player. Lauren James can play out wide. We've got Grace Clinton who can play out wide. We've got Jess Park who can play out wide. So you've got lots of options. And obviously Nikita Parris is coming into the squad, who I think will be a really useful, versatile attacking option going into the tournament. And Kiva Jones can also play anywhere across the front line. So I think there are options. Now, I think Kelly will be in the 2025 Euro squad. And whether that's on merit or whether it's because she scored the winner in the 2022 Euros is difficult to say. But I think she will be there regardless. And she, I believe, offers more than Jess Nass. So it's not a terrible thing. But she wouldn't have deserved to be called up because she's simply not played enough football.
Yeah, for Kelly, it's a case of that I think if she returns to her best form, she will be one of the first names in the squad. But even so, it's more that if she just needs... If she has 6 months of just playing for Arsenal... I mean, I'd like to think she'd score a goal or two, but if she has 6 months of just playing consistently for Arsenal, that will be enough for Wiegman to see that because she's match sharp, we could get the Chloe Kelly of old at the 2025 Euros, and what a tournament that could be for her. But if she can have I'm not expecting her to go and score a hat-trick in every game and be the best player in the world for the next 6 months, but to just get a bit of consistency, get a few goal contributions in the next 4 or 5 months, and then get into that England squad for the Euros, go and score the winner against Spain, and we can all laugh at them and have a great, great time.
Indeed. Any other players that you think potentially missed out on this squad, or is that pretty much how you'd expect this squad to go?
I think, as I mentioned earlier, Gabby George is unlucky. She's enjoying when you think that Letitia and Turner have got in there, and Talis Joyce and Riviera all in for their respective nations, I think George is unfortunate to be the only United defender that misses out.
Especially considering there isn't another left back in this squad.
That is true.
Yes, Esme Morgan can play there, but is she better than George? Probably not. And then, yes, you've got Carter can play there, but if she's playing wing back, Christ.
Even left back, that Germany game, Carter had an absolute shocker. And I love Jess Carter. I think, she was brilliant for Chelsea. She's a superb player, and she's still doing okay out in the US. But for England, over the last few months, each international, it's a shame to see. It's one of those where I don't want her to keep playing. Because
she was good in the US game, though.
She was better in the US game, but I just don't want it to get that feel that with each performance she gets worse and worse, and it ends up ending on a low note. I really she's been brilliant for England over the last couple of years, so I really hope that at some point she won't keep playing, and that the performances could get better. I'm not saying she could just she's now on a massive decline and that's it for her, but she could play better. But if the performances aren't going to be there, don't play it, don't play her, don't force it, and don't ruin what has been a really good career.
Yeah, completely agree. I think that just about rounds up this video then. England's squad announcement for the internationals next week. We've got Portugal on Friday the 21st. Looking forward to a little trip to Portugal, aren't you, Henry?
Yeah,
I'm there as well. I've posed you the question.
I mean, I would say it's going to be sunny and it's going to be a great time, but it's February, so you never know. But it's better than being in England.
So it will definitely be hotter.
And if you are coming out to the Algarve, make sure to come say hi.
Yes, you'll probably see Harry asleep in the departures lounge.
Yeah.
Just waiting to get there. So, yeah, look out for us if you're going to Portugal. And then we'll be back to stream the England-Spain game. So look out for that. We have, of course, though, got WSL action the weekend before there. So don't be too busy thinking about Portugal, because we will be here for the WSL action. So look out this weekend. We've got a double stream. I think it's Manchester City versus Liverpool. Is one of the games.
Potentially.
And I can't remember the other one off the top of my head.
That is really good.
Join us this Sunday. It will be good. Other than that, we've got another video dropping Friday. We'll have videos throughout next week, so look out for all of those. That, though, is everything from us today. Thank you guys very much for watching, and we'll see you next time.
See ya.